You are listening to the Pregnancy Podcast with Vanessa Merton. Hello, thank you for tuning into the Pregnancy Podcast. In today's episode, we are talking about the science and myths of the line on your belly. You may notice a dark line running down the center of your belly during pregnancy. This is known as the linea nigra. But what causes this to appear? Does it mean something about your baby? And will it really fade after birth? This episode answers several listener questions and explores the science behind this mysterious line. We will talk about what influences how dark it gets and whether there is anything you can do to prevent it. You can find the full article and see all of the resources for this episode at pregnancypodcast.com/line. I'm super excited to offer something special this week that I've never done before. When you sign up for a 3-month membership of Pregnancy Podcast Premium, you'll get ad-free access to every episode, the complete archive, a copy of the Your Birth Plan book, and a private 30-minute call. We can talk about your birth plan, we can go through pregnancy questions, or chat about anything that will help you feel more confident and prepared for your baby. Of course, I am not a doctor. I cannot give you medical advice, but I am a wealth of information and an expert at connecting you with evidence-based resources. I have helped tens of thousands of expecting parents navigate pregnancy and birth over the last decade, and I am so excited to work with you one-on-one. This is a limited time offer available only through the website. This is not available on Apple Podcasts. The best part is that on top of ad-free listening and full archive access, we get to hop on a call and tackle whatever you're struggling with in pregnancy, in planning for your birth, or even preparing for postpartum. You can take advantage of this special offer through October 31st, 2025. Check it out at pregnancypodcast.com/premium. Being pregnant is hard, and all of those physical changes can be very difficult. You can't sleep because your hips hurt. Maybe you're getting leg cramps or restless legs. Your belly is growing. You may have itchy and dry skin. You may be developing stretch marks. 8 Sheep Organics has a pregnancy survival kit specially made to get you through your pregnancy as comfortably as possible. This includes 4 handcrafted products that help with things like pregnancy insomnia, restless legs, lower back and hip pains, and stretch marks. For a limited time only, get the Pregnancy Survival Kit at $30 off with free shipping in the US, plus save an additional 10% when you go to pregnancypodcast.com/8sheep. Like all 8 Sheep products, this comes with a 100-day happiness guarantee. You can try it risk-free, and if you're not 100% happy with your purchase, simply send them an email and they'll get you a refund, no questions asked. Check out the Pregnancy Survival Kit and save an additional 10% when you go to pregnancypodcast.com/8sheep. That's the number 8 and sheep like the animal, 8 sheep. This week's question comes from Grace. Her email reads, "Hi, Vanessa. I am 26 weeks pregnant and I have a dark line going down the center of my belly. My doctor told me that it's totally normal and it will fade after I have the baby. Still, the line is really dark and I'm starting to worry that it might not go away. Can you explain why this happens and whether it really does disappear? Is there anything I can do to make it less noticeable? Thank you for your amazing podcast. It has been so helpful and I don't know what I would do without it." Grace, thank you for sharing your questions and for your kind words about the podcast. All of the changes that happen during pregnancy can feel a little overwhelming, especially if this is your first baby and you don't quite know what to expect. When physical changes show up, not only do you notice them, but they're often visible to others, and that can make you even more self-conscious. Let's talk about what this line is, why it appears, and what you can expect as your pregnancy progresses so that you have a lot more information. The term linea nigra means black line in Latin. This refers to the dark vertical stripe that often appears down the center of your belly during pregnancy. This typically becomes noticeable in the second trimester, and it may darken as your pregnancy progresses. The linea nigra is a common and very normal change. Studies show that this happens in between 32 to 92% of pregnant women, and it depends on a lot of factors, including skin tone and hormonal sensitivity. Now that you know what it is, why does it happen? Your skin color comes from a pigment called melanin, and that is produced by specialized cells known as melanocytes in the outer layer of your skin. During pregnancy, levels of estrogen, progesterone, and melanocyte-stimulating hormone all increase. These hormones signal melanocytes to produce more melanin, which naturally darkens the skin. Estrogen increases both the number and activity of melanocytes and boosts the enzymes that drive melanin production. Progesterone enhances this effect by making melanocytes more responsive to other hormones, especially that stimulating hormone. And the result is that the areas that are already a little bit darker, like your nipples and areolas, often become more pigmented during your pregnancy. People with darker complexions tend to have a more pronounced linea nigra than those with lighter skin tones. That's because individuals with darker skin naturally produce more melanin. Remember, that's the pigment that gives your skin its color, and that makes any additional pigmentation changes during pregnancy more visible. We know what this is and why it happens, but why does it appear where it does? There is a strip of connective tissue that runs straight down the middle of your abdomen, and it goes from your sternum to your pubic bone. This is called the linea alba. That means white line in Latin. It forms very early in development in utero when the left and right halves of the body fuse together at that midline. The linea alba is made mostly of collagen fibers. And during pregnancy, as your uterus expands, that tissue stretches and thins. And it's structurally different from the surrounding skin, so it tends to show pigmentation changes more clearly. When hormonal shifts increase melanin production, that midline naturally darkens, creating the linea nigra. Grace, the good news is that your doctor is right, and the linea nigra usually fades after pregnancy as your hormone levels return to normal. The timing on that can vary, and fading usually happens over several weeks or months. I did an in-depth search for any medical case reports of a linea nigra that did not fade. I found one case study where the line remained visible 3 months after birth. Unfortunately, there was no long-term follow-up on that patient, so we don't know what happened after 3 months. In the vast majority of cases, the pigmentation lightens naturally with time. If you are still concerned several months after you have your baby and it doesn't appear to be lightening, there are treatments like skin lightening agents or laser therapies that are available with a dermatologist, although these will most likely not be necessary. For everyone, the linea nigra fades on its own. You know that all of the hormonal changes that happen during pregnancy are necessary. And there's nothing that you can do to change how these hormones affect your skin. Unfortunately, there is no known way to prevent this line from appearing on your belly. Grace, you asked if there is anything you can do to make it less noticeable. There are a couple of things that can influence how noticeable this line becomes. First, let's examine whether there is a connection with folic acid. I came across a few different references suggesting that folic acid or folate may help reduce how dark the linea nigra becomes. I really dug into the research because I wanted to find solid evidence for this, but I didn't find anything to support that claim. Folate, which is also known as vitamin B9, is a very essential nutrient during pregnancy. That's because it helps prevent neural tube defects. This is why so many of our foods are fortified with folic acid and why it is included in all prenatal vitamins. You could potentially add more folate-rich foods in your diet. That would include things like lentils, spinach, and leafy greens or avocados. But there is no proven evidence that I could track down that will change how dark your linea nigra gets. We do know that sun exposure can affect how noticeable this line is. Sun exposure triggers your body to produce more melanin. That's what gives you a tan when you're out in the sun. That can make the linea nigra appear darker. The good news is that if your line does become more noticeable from sun exposure, that does not mean that it will permanently stay dark or that it will fade less after birth. This darkening happens because of temporary pigment activity, not due to permanent skin changes. Once your hormone levels drop after pregnancy and your body stops producing extra melanin, that color will gradually fade, even if the sun made it darker. Sunlight only affects surface pigmentation, and the deeper layers of your skin and that connective tissue underneath, the linea alba, are not changed by UV exposure. As hormone levels return to normal after you have your baby, your skin tone will naturally even out. You may consider keeping your belly covered or applying sunscreen. That can help further darkening of that line. Even if the linea nigra darkens significantly from the sun, it still will fade with time. But it may take a little bit longer compared to somebody who avoids sun exposure. Grace, if you are somewhere with your belly exposed and you feel self-conscious about that line, you could potentially use makeup or concealer to cover it temporarily. I really encourage you to embrace your belly and all of the incredible changes that come with pregnancy. This line, I know this is something different for you to see on your belly, but this is a completely normal part of the process. And it's a visible reminder of the amazing work that your body's doing. In all of the research I did for this episode, I came across a few wives' tales about the linea nigra. One suggests that line helps a newborn baby find their way to the breast to nurse. This theory is also used to explain why your areolas become darker during pregnancy, and there is documentation showing that babies can find their way to the breast completely on their own after birth. This well-documented behavior is known as the breast crawl. However, there is not definitive evidence that the linea nigra itself plays a direct role in this process, but it is thought that darkening of your areolas do. Another popular myth claims that the timing, the darkness, the direction, or the length of this line can reveal something about your baby's sex. Unfortunately, pigmentation patterns do not correlate with whether you're having a boy or girl. It may be a fun idea to explore, but there is no scientific evidence to support that when that line shows up, how dark it gets, the direction it goes, or how long it is, indicates that you are pregnant with a boy or girl. Grace, I hope that this gives you a better understanding of why this dark line appears on your belly and some reassurance that it is in fact temporary. For many expecting mothers, the linea nigra is simply a natural part of pregnancy. It reflects the incredible hormonal changes that your body goes through to support your growing baby. I know that it is easier said than done, but I do encourage you to embrace all of these changes, even the ones that you're not in love with. Showing yourself compassion for all of the amazing work that your body is doing can make it easier to appreciate all of the side effects of pregnancy. To recap today's episode, we talked about what that dark line is down your belly, that it is technically called the linea nigra. We talked about why it happens due to hormonal and pigmentation changes, why it appears where it does because it aligns with the linea alba, which is connective tissue that runs down the center of your belly. I covered some research that it will actually go away after you have your baby, and we talked about potentially preventing or minimizing it. I addressed whether there is a connection to folate and folic acid. We also talked about how sun exposure can affect how noticeable that line is. And then we ended dispelling some common myths and wives' tales. I would like to thank you for tuning into the Pregnancy Podcast today. I hope that you find this episode helpful. If you would like to submit a question for a future Q&A episode, please send an email to vanessa@pregnancypodcast.com. You can read the full article and all of the resources that accompany this episode at pregnancypodcast.com/line. I'm so excited to offer something special this week that I've never done before. When you sign up for a 3-month membership of Pregnancy Podcast Premium, you'll get ad-free access to every episode in the private podcast feed, the complete archive, a copy of the Your Birth Plan book, and a private 30-minute call. We can work on your birth plan, we can talk about pregnancy questions, or anything that will help you feel more confident and prepared for your baby. Of course, I am not a doctor and I cannot give you medical advice. I am a wealth of information and an expert at connecting you with evidence-based resources. Over the last decade, I have helped tens of thousands of expecting parents navigate pregnancy and birth, and I am so excited to work with you one-on-one. This is a limited time offer that is only available through the Pregnancy Podcast website. You cannot sign up for this on Apple Podcasts. By taking advantage of this offer, on top of ad-free listening and full archive access, we get to hop on a call and tackle whatever you're struggling with in pregnancy, in planning for your birth, or even preparing for postpartum. This special offer is valid through October 31st, 2025. Check it out at pregnancypodcast.com/premium. All of the physical changes you go through during pregnancy can be challenging. You can't sleep because you're getting leg cramps, or you have restless legs, or your hips hurt. Your belly's growing. You may be getting stretch marks and have itchy and dry skin. 8 Sheep Organics has a pregnancy survival kit specially made to get you through your pregnancy as comfortably as possible. It includes a set of 4 handcrafted products that help with common things like pregnancy insomnia, restless legs, lower back and hip pains, leg cramps, swollen and achy legs and feet, and stretch marks. For a limited time, you can get the survival kit at $30 off with free shipping in the US, plus save an additional 10% when you go to pregnancypodcast.com/8sheep. Like all 8 Sheep products, this comes with a 100-day happiness guarantee. Try it completely risk-free. And if you are not 100% happy with your purchase, simply send them an email and they'll get you a refund, no questions asked. Check out the Pregnancy Survival Kit and save an additional 10% when you go to pregnancypodcast.com/8sheep. That's the number 8 and sheep like the animal. 8 sheep.